So about 2 months ago, we did a webinar, and this webinar touched on the 5 things that you must do before buying a house, and then the entire home buying process from start to finish. So if you have an hour, check it out. And in fact, we're gonna put the link in the comment section on YouTube so you can take a look at that. But what we're gonna do moving forward for the next few weeks is just break down each of those pieces individually so you can kind of study those items more in depth and also build some strategy around each of those pieces. So if you're in a real estate transaction or if you might be buying soon, you can follow through and see what it takes to create a successful transaction and give you the best possible deal based on the market and the circumstance that you're buying a house. So let's roll. So the part that I want to cover today is you have found the property you want and you've seen it and it's time to negotiate. So what does that process look like? So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the top 3 variables that you want to consider when it's time to write the offer. And if you don't consider these, you're going to set yourself up for failure and either offer too low or you might be offering too much. So this will help you pinpoint and give you the most successful outcome. Okay, so the very first variable you want to consider is what type of market are you in? And let's put that, there's 3 different types. One is a buyer's market, one is a seller's market, and one is a balanced market. Those are the 3 that you want to consider mostly. In a buyer's market, you have a lot of inventory and very few buyers that are willing or able to make a purchase. Therefore, the prices come down a little bit, depending on the circumstances, and the buyers are able to get a better deal, right? In a seller's market, it's the opposite. Very little inventory and a lot of buyers that are ready to pounce on those properties. And that could be the market as a whole, or it could be pockets of the market. It could be pockets of neighborhoods or counties or cities, and your realtor is the one who's analyzing that stuff on a regular basis. So have that conversation before you even think about writing an offer. Make sure you know that what neighborhood you're in, if it's a buyer's or a seller's market. If it's a balanced market, you're in a circumstance where the stars have kind of aligned and there's a lot of inventory, a lot of buyers. You will probably end up in some competitive environments, but it's not going to be as difficult to make a purchase as it is in a seller's market. So just keep that part in mind, and we'll break all this stuff down at the very end of the video. The second biggest thing to keep in mind is how long the property's been on the market. And if you're looking on Zillow or Redfin, whatever site you like, you're going to see this acronym called CDOM. CDOM. So that's the cumulative days on market. That's the one you want to check because you might have something that's been fresh on the market for 2 days, but you didn't see that 30 days ago. They just pulled it off the market after 374 days on the market. So look for CDOM because that's the date you want to see how long it's really been on the market. And the reason that is important is if something's been on the market for 0 days, you're probably going to be in a much more competitive environment. And the seller's probably not going to accept your offer even if you came in at full price on day 1. They're probably going to wait a few days to make sure that they've had enough exposure to the market to analyze the feedback from other showings. If there are multiple offers, to see if there are buyers that want to compete against each other for a higher price, which, as you know, if you were the seller, you'd be doing the same thing. And the third most important thing to keep in mind is the property history. And this does not mean the days on the market. It does tie that in, but it's the other factor that's extremely important to know. And that is, has the house been on the market and off the market as a pending sale and back on the market? Now, if that's happened once, it's not a 5-alarm fire, but it's something that you should have your agent inquire about. Have them talk to the listing broker and see what took place. So if there was a home inspection, what was the result? What caused that previous buyer to back out? And it's something you need to have on your radar Otherwise, you could be at a high risk of running into a bigger issue or overpaying for the house. And also, if you see something that's been on the market, off the market, on the market, off the market, on, and just repeats and repeats, and you see like, what in the heck is going on here? That's where it becomes more like a 5-alarm fire, and you want to be on high alert. And either way, even if it hasn't been on and off the market, you need to have a home inspection and do your own due diligence. Don't let that be the due diligence for you. Don't let somebody's opinion or just general knowledge of the property be your due diligence. You want to make sure you have a home inspection. If you need to have contractors take a look at it, depending on what your contract will support, you want to make sure that you have all eyes on target, because this is one of your biggest investments you're going to make in your life. And so those 3 biggest things you want to, again, number 1 is what type of market. Number 2, how many days has this house been on the market? And number 3, what is the property history? So how many times has it gone pending, back to active? What other circumstances are in that property history? And with those 3 things, you're going to have a much better baseline to start your negotiations. And once you've written down each status for those 3, that's where you can see what leverage you have. So if it's a buyer's market, you're probably going to have a shot at getting a discount on the property in some way, just because you're probably one of the sole buyers that are interested in that listing. So you want to keep that part in mind. If it's a seller's market and you really want this house, you may have to offer a little more to make it happen. And you may be competing against another buyer to make it happen. So keep those things in mind. The days on the market, again, 0 days, you're probably going to be coming in hot. 100 days on the market, you might have some more leverage to get, 10,000, 20,000 off. We'll call it 5%, 10%, depending on what the purchase price is. And all those circumstances vary as well. So, and every buyer and seller is different too. So if you have a seller that is firm on their price, they might stick it out for a year in hopes of a buyer making an offer, even if the house is not worth it in that market. They might be waiting for it to shift from a buyer's market to a seller's market. All those things come into play. And then the property history we discussed pretty much in detail, but if you see something that's been on the market for 70 days and has 5 different trips on going pending, active, that's something where you're going to have some leverage depending on the motivation of the seller. And all of this comes down to finding a compromise that works between you, the buyer, and the seller. So if you have questions about this process, or if you have comments and other strategies, feel free to comment below. Also, don't forget to hit the subscribe button here for more as we continue to dissect that webinar and give the full detail on the best practices in home buying. So thanks for watching. Have an awesome day. I just saw a blue jay right there. Okay, so today, and also build some strategy. I'm doing a video. No, I'm recording. Sweet. Thank you. I should probably finish. You know, sit on the counter. I'm going to finish this up. Thank you. That'll be delicious when I'm editing the video, though. Hi, buddy. All right, I'm going to roll. Okay? See that 38 days ago. You didn't see that 38. Oh, my gosh. Boop.